When NDTV first reported that global fashion giant Prada was showcasing Kolhapuri chappals priced at 1.2 lakh rupees without a single mention of India or the artisans of Kolhapur, we called it out right here on NDTV for what it was: cultural appropriation, plain and simple. They didn't even credit India. A craft that holds a geo-identification tag, a GI tag, a craft that's been painstakingly passed down through generations in Maharashtra, a craft that carries the soul of Indian heritage, and yet not a single line of acknowledgement. That silence sparked a storm, but now there's been a remarkable turnaround. Following NDTV's reportage, Prada, one of the biggest fashion houses in the world, has officially acknowledged the Indian origins of the Kolhapuri chappal, and more importantly, Prada has decided to act. A delegation from the fashion house is now headed to India to travel to Kolhapur in partnership with the Maharashtra government to forge a direct collaboration with local artisans. These very craftsmen will now help shape Prada's next Kolhapuri line. This is a big win, not just for heritage and acknowledgement, but for the livelihoods of the artisans who've given their lives to this iconic craft. This isn't just about fashion, it's respect, recognition, reparations in the form of real partnerships. And this is an NDTV impact. I have no hesitation in saying so, because we believed this wasn't right. We believed India's cultural legacy deserves more than just silent appropriation. And today, that belief has translated, I'm so happy to say, into action. And joining me live now is one of India's most well-known fashion designers and creative minds. Rina Dhaka is live with me. Rina, good to see you. Thanks for being with me. A happy ending to a story that triggered a lot of people. 1.5 lakh rupee Kolhapuri chappals, Prada not even mentioning India. Now, after NDTV, brought that story to light, not only have they acknowledged it, they're sending a team to Kolhapur very shortly to actually explore a partnership. What do you think?
I think it's a big win for India, as you rightly said. And also, I must say, the team of Prada has also been very supportive. The noise we made finally got heard. Yeah. And it's so nice that somebody took action on it, and the after effects and the trickle effect in the livelihood of not just the exact workers of Kolhapur, it will be there in India for a long time. This is what also is called, respect in every which way, wherein fashion creates value for not just the luxury buyers, but also for the ones back home as far as we are, and to be able to show that the craft, which they had actually pinched and converted into their own, is now going to be belonging to the artisans who originally created it.
So, Rina, would you say that this is Prada, doing the right thing after seeing the public outcry?
If there was no public outcry, honestly, we wouldn't have had this. But even sometimes after public outcry, these things don't happen. But the fact that they've actioned it and they have shown their sincerity and the interest to work with the original manufacturers of this craft, it's very good. It's great on part of Prada. It's ethical, and it makes me also, as someone who has worn Prada, very interested in them again, to know that they have a heart.
I want to explore that a little bit, Rina, because, you've worked with these big companies and you know how they function. So, would this be an oversight from their end, not acknowledging or crediting India? Did they think that they'd just get away with something like this? Was it an honest mistake, or do you think it was actually an attempt at cultural appropriation?
I think, when it comes to design, nobody really, especially you don't know who's designing, could be very young, somebody who's just fascinated by India. And India always has tales and stories which will carry on, inspiring artists all over the world. So mostly fashion talent like this is very young, and they perhaps don't know about copyright laws and the implications of such kind of a fallback, and such an obvious kind. So yes, I'm glad Prada and their group have taken such a noble step as to work with the artisans right in India, because their quality standards, being Italians, they will have to really work with them to make this a success and a go of it. And of course, kudos to the team of Maharashtra who managed to contact them, get through to them, and have them come over. This itself is a big win.
Yeah, in fact, we're sending a reporter down to Kolhapur when that delegation actually arrives.
Yeah.
And Rina, through your career, you've worked with small artisans in small places of the country as well. What would this meeting look like? A Prada delegation going down to Kolhapur with the Maharashtra government representatives, meeting with the artisans. What kind of partnership would they be looking at? Are we looking at a kind of pact where the artisans actually benefit from something big like this?
So obviously they will pay them better pricing than they get in the markets with their traders now. They also will need the different kind of a quality standards, hand feel, wearability. Their compliances are much more than a person who is doing this in a traditional way may or may not have it. So yes, Prada will also have to invest their teams to be able to give them the product they wish to sell, the sample they have made, and to get it made home from its original home country and the original ancestral weavers.
Couple of final questions, Rina. What this story tells me really is, this is your world, so you know this very well. The incredible wealth of creativity and craft that we have in this country, that's available to all these big companies to look at, be inspired by, and let's face it, make a lot of money from. I mean, that's one of my biggest takeaways from this.
It generates trade in these regions. A lot of, our artisans who are learning, generational artisans, they have had to leave their craft because they're not able to make their ends meet. And with such a big wave of a trend for Kolhapuri Chappal, also with the press having shown such an interest in it, and the fact that they did the right thing by coming to India and to begin work with the Indian artisans for the production of the same chappals, this itself will create a very big trickle-down story for the sales of the same product and category. And many variants will form after this. In the 80s and I think late 90s, Kolhapuri was king. And then over time, other rubber chappals and other things came through.
Yeah.
So this is also like a great way for its revival, I would say.
Do you think, final question, that the other lesson from all of this maybe is that, despite this GI tagging, etc., artisans and, creative intellectual properties of India need to be better protected in a more sort of structured way?
Yeah, structured, and also we must be at par with the way the world works, because there is always going to be an exchange of ideas. There's nothing one can do to really control them, because as you know, the gladiator, the Roman sandal, is also sold here on Janpat streets, and they probably are made in Kolhapur on the same techniques. The original, I don't know where they are made, to be honest. But what I'm trying to say is that if we have a robust, well-informed, this kind of patent lawyers or firms representing us, either in way of media, either way of PR firms, and internationally too, then they can nip this in the bud and make it profitable. Like we've turned this story around, and by however we did it. So the same way, if we had professionals handling this, they would find the right articles and be able to bring back the benefit to the Indian artisans. There is a way to definitely do it, but you need a better resourced, better champion team for that.
Rina Dhaka, a pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for your time this evening. It's a happy ending to a story that caused a lot of outrage and anger, and we'll be tracking it right to the end. But good to have you, and thanks for your perspective tonight here on India Matters. Well, it's a wrap on the show for the night. All of the stories that we bring you are stories we will continue to track till their logical conclusions. Maria is up next with the last word.